Hi.
Hi, Razz.
How are you?
I'm so good. How are you? It's so good to see
great.
you.
Good to see you. The 55th ACMs is Wednesday night at 8 on CBS 3. 3 venues, the Grand Ole Opry, the Ryman, the Bluebird, hosted by Keith Urban. Our coverage brought to you by Ford and the Ford F-150. Lindsay Ell nominated in 2 categories. What a year for you. I like the entire concept of heart theory.
Thank you.
You take people through the stages of grief, whether we've experienced them all or not. Must have been really interesting to write from that perspective. Can you talk about that a little bit? The album's available now, by the way.
Thank you so much for saying that, Razz. I mean, yeah, I think that all of us have been through the stages of grief, even if we don't know it, for various times in our lives. You know, I think we go through moments of transformation, whether it's from heartbreak or from loss of a loved one or from losing a job or going through a global pandemic. I mean, we go through these constant moments of transformation where, whether we know it or not, we go through these series of emotions. And the 7 stages of grief is just one way of articulating that process.
Right.
And I wanted to write a concept album that went in order and could be a roadmap or sort of a musical diary to fans to talk about my process, to hopefully inspire them to go on their own journey, their own process. And so from track 1, it goes through shock, denial, anger, all the way to the last stage of acceptance at track 12, in order to show that transition. You know, they can hear me slowly unravel through all of the tracks to get to that last stage.
What do you think is the hardest one of the 7?
The hardest one for me of the 7 was anger.
Yeah.
Anger is not something I feel very, very easily. I can feel sad so easy. I can cry about so many things. But to get truly angry, it's a difficult emotion for me to really embrace. And yet it's such an emotion that gives you so much awareness. You know, sometimes we have so much anger for ourselves that we don't even really realize. And uncovering that is just, it holds such a freedom, and it really helps us break like completely new levels of our potential when we can really learn from that and look at something and then be grateful for, you know, some of these valleys or right and left turns that we go through in life, and be able to look at them and be like, okay, I get it right now. I get why I went through that, and I get why I've learned from that.
And anger could be the most confusing because there are many, many ways you can really express it. You could be violent, you could be destructive,
Absolutely.
You could be angry inside, you could, and there's really no healthy way to really get through it. Is there?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
There's really no healthy way to get through it, but I think it's definitely very profitable, like you said. You know, we can learn a lot from it.
Yeah. I was going through some of the notes here, and I have a book idea for you now that you've come through this heart theory writing. I think you should go back and revisit Continuum. I think when Christian gave you that project to take your album idea and turn it into you and your dissection of it and your interpretation of one of your favorite albums, which is the John Mayer album. But I think you should write a book on that process. Like, I
love it.
Because you had to sit down and dissect every part of it, not from the John Mayer point of view, but from the listener point of view. I think there's a story there.
Razz, I would love that. It's so funny because my manager and I were talking about that this morning, about, you know, that process and how cool it was to truly recreate something. But I think a book about that would be fascinating, and also apply it to life and what it taught me about myself. And really, it was the groundwork to me then writing Heart Theory a few years later. So, Razz, you were onto something. You were a very smart man.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, I just sit back and I read some stuff and I go, how more can we diagram this out through, you know, dialogue and diaphragm it into, did I just say diaphragm?
Hey, I'll take it. I use my diaphragm a lot when singing, so I'll take that. Oh my
God, diagram it out into a way that people could understand it. And, boy, that was interesting. And how people understand, because we listen to albums and we personalize it anyway. You might want to share that with some folks anyway, but that's interesting. I think you should definitely go down that road. But one other thing I want to ask you about is the BTO connection. Just the first time I read that in the notes.
No way. Yeah, Randy Bachman became like another dad to me growing up. I first met him when I was 13 years old. And he taught me really how to write a song, how to record in a professional recording studio when I was little. I would go out to his studio in Salt Spring Island, which was sort of the next province over where I grew up in Canada. And it was like summer camp to me. And I would write songs and record them with Randy. And he was really the one who discovered me early on. You know, he connected me to Gibson guitars way back in the day and introduced me to a whole bunch of people in the music industry. And still to this day, Randy and I are friends. You know, from the baby, you just ain't seen nothing yet to, you know, we write all the time. And he's like, Linz, we need to write. And so I love Randy.
Well, have fun, you know, watching the ACMs. Where are you going to be? Are you performing?
I'm going to be on my couch in sweatpants, and it's going to be one of the coolest award shows to date.
Yeah, and you've been at every one of these venues, so it's going to be interesting to see how it turns out this year. And I can't wait to maybe next year we get to do this in person.
I cannot wait either. I cannot wait to give you a hug in person.
See you, Lindsay. Nice to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Razz.
Have a good day, okay? It's Philly's Country Station 92.5 XTU.